Checking my Twitter. I got 4 notifications. Oh look, shout out to Jess for retweeting and liking my tweet. She probably won't even watch this video unless she's interested on my Zhiyun crane, which I doubt she is. What's up guys, my name's Matt Zeffy. Today I'm doing a review on the Zhiyun crane V2, not to be confused with the second overall model. This is the version 2, I guess the V would stand for. And it's just another update to the first Zhiyun crane. And this is a 3-axis gimbal stabilizer for your camera, and you could use this for a ton of cameras. They're supposed to be compact cameras. I believe the load for this one is up to 3.9 pounds. So as you can see, this thing's extremely small and very lightweight. I'm not sure exactly how much this weighs, but as you can see, just from me moving it around so much, really easily. This one's very similar to the original crane, this V2 one, and they just upgraded the payload amount, so you could put heavier cameras on here. And they upgraded the batteries to last a little bit longer. So these are lithium-ion batteries. It comes with 2 out of the box, and they last up to around 12 to 18 hours, they say. And they're really not lying with that time, to be honest. I've honestly only had this thing die on me one time, and it was because I hadn't charged it the day before. But honestly, you'd be fine using it for a long while. And that's extremely important for running gun people and ENG style shooters. I will say that a lot of people who have trouble switching to these stabilizers from a glide cam is because they think batteries are going to be a huge issue. I mean, it can for some people. If you're really pushing this thing and you have the motors on high all the time, you know, it's going to wear out the battery even faster. I use a Sony a6300, so as most of you probably know, that's a really light camera, and the lenses I have on it are usually light as well. You're not pushing the motors like that, you're going to get the longest life expectancy out of this thing, both in long term and just like the batteries in a day. Just show you the case that it came in. Looks like this. It's just a pretty sweet case for something that's included. So it comes with pre-cut foam inside. It also comes with this lens support, which is extremely important if you're using a long and heavier lens. I generally keep it in here because my lenses are mostly primes and they're smaller ones. So if you do decide to get this version, it's pretty cool. This is included, a nice case. So some of you might be wondering why I'm even reviewing this older one. And it's because not everyone really needs the newest one, which is the Crane 2 without the V in front of it. Some of the upgrades they did with that one is obviously the focus that they added to it, and a higher payload is what they add every time. It's a little bit bulkier, but most importantly why I want to review this is because it's a good opportunity to get your hands on this one, because the price obviously is going to decrease now that a newer one has come out. And if you have a lower camera payload, like I probably could have went for the Crane 1 with my Sony a6300 because it's a lighter camera. So one of the highlights of this stabilizer is definitely the app. There are 2 apps on the Play Store. Yes, I'm using an Android for all you Android haters and Apple praisers. There's a Zhiyun Assistant app and there's a Zhiyun Play app. I believe Zhiyun Assistant is the correct one, and it looks something like this. Okay, they updated it. What else is new? These people update apps like every other day. So it's super easy to connect. This is how you will get your battery information. Unfortunately, there's no LCD screen on the stabilizer to know how much your battery is at. That is something that they actually released with the newer crane. In the app like this, you can tweak your settings on the fly, which is pretty sweet because you could be out anywhere and be able to tweak your settings without having to connect to your computer or anything like that. Another thing is you can control it from here, which is pretty sweet because if you have it on something that's far away, you can still control it. One thing that I was thinking where that would be useful is I've been wanting to grab a boom pole. I got the idea of someone from the internet on YouTube, I believe. They connected their Zhiyun crane to a boom pole and they basically made a DIY jib crane from it. So I think it would be great to have a way to control the camera up top while it's far away from you. I will say that with the other crane app, you will be able to make time lapses, which is something that you strangely cannot do with the app that you're supposed to use for this stabilizer. Nevertheless, that app works with the stabilizer, and you can actually post up your Zhiyun stabilizer on a tripod or surface, pick points from A to be, and you'll be able to make a moving time lapse, which is pretty awesome. You could do like 360 photos as well, which would be pretty sweet. I will say that that method isn't perfect. The time lapse definitely needs some kind of post-production stabilization, which is kind of odd. It's just a little bit too shaky. I guess because it's a time lapse, you notice that up and down movement a little bit more emphasized. So a couple more highlights on the crane itself is this joystick, which is pretty awesome to control the movement of your camera. You can have it follow your wrist, however you're twisting it. This is just an additional way. I don't use it nearly as much as I should. If you're using a power zoom lens that is compatible with this, you will be able to zoom in and out through this. You will also be able to switch between 3 modes by clicking the mode button on here. And you could trigger the record or picture button on your camera just with the touch of this button. I will say to do all that, you will need to get your hands on one of these wires that is compatible with your camera. I will say that the newer Zhiyun crane actually comes with these, which is actually pretty awesome because this thing was about 30 bucks for this tiny cable that does not seem like it should be 30 bucks. And the first one they sent actually was defective. So shout out to Zhiyun crane. I think you should lower the price on these. Just a suggestion. So one of the last highlights that I could think of on this is actually a little bit more personal, and it's because the last stabilizer that I had, I started with a glide cam, then I moved to a Nebula 4000 Lite. It took me a really long time to get those settings perfectly to somewhere that I liked. This was amazing right out of the box, and that's probably why, I mean, I still tweak the settings, but I think that's probably why I love this one so much. And I've been using this for about 7 months now, maybe even a little bit longer, and it's been running perfectly, so I know I'm going to be using it for much longer. My last one was just way too finicky, and I usually had problems with it on the job, and I wasn't really able to go into inverted modes easily. When you want to go into inverted mode on this one, you simply turn it upside down. With my other one, it was a whole process, and it usually failed. Another thing is you don't need an Allen key with this. My last one, it was just ridiculous to be pulling out an Allen key when you're on a shoot. Like, who wants to do that? The fact that this one has these simple screws to balance your camera is just invaluable, to be honest. It's funny because it used to take me so long to balance these things, and I guess I just got into good practice for my last one, but now I can balance these in like a couple minutes. I could do it in my lap if I want. You don't really need a flat surface. It doesn't have to be perfect if your payload's lower than, you know, reaching the max, because the better you get this stabilizer balanced for your camera, the less the motors are going to have to work, and the better it's going to be for the stabilizer in the long run and for the life expectancy of the batteries. So now I want to point out some of the accessories that I have for this. I have a mini tripod that I sometimes put on the bottom of it so that you're not holding it all the time. That could be irritating, honestly. My last one I did that, and it was just unreasonable. This does not come with the Zhiyun crane. I will say that the newer Zhiyun crane does come with Zhiyun's own proprietary tripod that they don't sell separately, so I had to get a third-party one, and this is a per gear one. I don't personally endorse these because the first one I had, actually the thread broke. They were kind enough to send me a second one, so that's pretty cool of them. Nonetheless, it does seem still to be a little bit cheap, and it was about 10 bucks, so it's not going to run you that much on Amazon. I will leave the link down below anyways. Another accessory, like I said, is this. If you don't want to spend the money on that, you can go ahead and grab yourself one of these remotes that you could use with your camera whenever, just to trigger the start and stop of the record button or a picture. So if you're using a stabilizer like this, one thing I also recommend is getting yourself a quick release plate. I have one of these on pretty much everything that I use. This is a Benro P4, and I just plop it right on my stabilizer, and it lets me slide my camera right in. It's pretty much already balanced. Might need a little bit of tweaking, but not much. And this allows me to take the camera off very easily without completely unbalancing it, and I could put it on my slider, I could put it on my tripod. I have a Manfrotto tripod, so it goes right onto there. So the last accessory that I have is actually Zhiyun crane's dual handle grip. I basically just slide it right into the middle. I'm able to put a monitor on here, and it just makes the weight of my entire setup much more evenly dispersed. Do you need this? The simple answer is no, you definitely don't need this. It's a nice thing to have. and you're gonna look cool, so that's sometimes important. If I haven't said so already, please stay tuned to my channel because I have a ton more coming in the near future. A lot of tutorials, more product reviews, and a bunch of other videos as well. So if you got anything out of this video, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification button and give it a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment down below. I'm asking for too much at this point. Bye guys.